Hi everyone, I want to talk to you about your hip and your leg. Your hip is that big scary thing in the middle, and your leg is actually your femur, which has that femoral head, femoral neck, and your greater trochanter. The greater trochanter actually is not the joint. A lot of people misthink that that's the joint. The joint is actually that femoral head. So keep that in mind, and we're going to lead you through leg swings. Important thing, greater trochanter, not your femoral head. And it's your greater trochanter is kind of like jutted out like an L to your leg. So your femur is an L shape. This next slide shows you how your hip moves. Your hip to femur actually moves in 6 different directions, or 3 pairs or axes of directions. The way to understand these is to think about where the knee is. First one is extension and flexion. That's where your knee goes forward and backward when you're facing a wall, say just forward and backward. Your knee is actually moving closer to the wall and farther away from the wall. The next one is abduction. Add is like adding, putting together, and abduction, which is the opposite, moving apart. So this is where your knee is in front of you and facing the wall, and then you're moving it so that it's still facing the wall. So if it's a flashlight, it's still facing the wall, but it's closer together. And then your knees the other way, abduction with a B, is farther apart, knees still facing the wall, like a flashlight, but your knees are now farther apart. The last one is the super cool one called internal rotation or external rotation, also called medial rotation and lateral rotation. This is where if your knee wears a flashlight, initially it starts shining a light on a wall, but then you're actually rotating how the knee is. So it rotates to shine the flashlight on your other knee, and then shine the flashlight directly to the side. If you pointed straight to the side with your right hand, then your right knee would be shining a flashlight to that direction without raising your knee up or down. So that is lateral rotation and medial rotation, otherwise known as internal and external rotation. Hi everyone, I want to talk to you. Hello everyone, I'm here to teach you about my leg swings. Yeah, I gotta move the camera. Okay, my leg swings are so that you develop ability to move your leg in many directions. The first thing we want to do is remember our hip joint. Our leg actually connects way in here to the middle of our body, and then our greater trochanter, the thing that is moving a lot but is not fixed, or the attachment point, is way out here. Okay, so in fact, if you find your hip and find a little bit further down, there's some bone there. If you have a little more padding, it's a little harder to find. But you'll find it by just moving your leg in and out, and you'll feel it gliding past yourself. So that's actually your greater trochanter. That is the thing that's moving. So our leg swings, the most important leg swings, are like this. You probably know about leg swinging, where you're just swinging forward and backward. And notice I'm standing on a yoga block. If I stand on a block, I can actually swing my leg. So I'm going to swing my leg just directly forward and backward. Okay, from another angle, directly forward and backward. I have my hand on the wall so that I can hold myself up. No problem with that. Okay, that's forward and backward. So that allows me to swing in flexion and extension. Okay, the second thing I want to do is be able to swing side to side. Okay, so this is abduction and adduction. Adduction is the squeezing together of the legs. So abduction, adduction. Okay, this is that leg swing. Okay, the key thing here is I'm not just swinging my foot, I'm actually focusing on swinging my knee. So I want my knee to come in and be able to go back and forth. Sorry, I was bending my knee, but this is how it should be. Where the knee is going directly past and the other way. So if you feel your greater trochanter, you'll feel your greater trochanter going down and then back up. Down, back up. The last thing is the last axis or third axis or third pair of motions, and that is internal rotation and or medial rotation and external rotation or lateral rotation. So this is where we're actually trying to get this whole leg to rotate it, not just swing past, but to rotate it. So the best way to see that is just put your free leg, swinging leg down, and then take your knee and rotate it together as if you're squeezing like this idea. Okay? So this is rotating in, and this is rotating out. Rotating in, rotate. In fact, I was thinking about this, but if you put your finger, your toe on the floor and just do this kind of twisting motion, you are doing the medial and lateral rotation of your hip. Okay? Yeah. If you want to swing with it, a good way to do, I'm just showing you because I can't describe it that well, but I'm essentially letting my leg be like a snake. I'm focusing on my knee in that rotate in, and then it's kind of my foot's kind of a tail. So if I just did it without them, with my leg completely, lower leg completely flexed, this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to rotate in, out. My foot is just the thing that follows along. So notice, as I'm rotating in, this foot is out here. As I'm rotating out, or laterally rotating, my foot falls on because the key thing is the rotation, the angle that's happening on this hip. So again, to show you again, this is flexion, extension, okay? This is abduction, adduction, so no rotation of the knee. And now I'm focusing on that rotation, okay? Rotation. So these are the 6 leg swings. I'll do it with this leg because my leg is tired. And here, okay, flexion, extension, flexion, extension. And then adduction, abduction, abduction, adduction, abduction, adduction, okay? And then lastly, the medial and lateral rotation. Again, as with all Howard suggested stretches, you do not want to focus on getting 100% and then 100%. Try to hang out in the 50% range, especially when you're starting, so that your body is not stressed or freaked out. And if you have a type A personality, you should do it 20%, okay? 20%. Because that little bit is going to help your body not tighten up, because generally our bodies will be very tight, and everyone has a different way that they're tight. I actually have one of my hips slightly higher than the other one. So just gently coaxing it to move and have a motion. And lastly, you can combine things, like you can have flexion, you draw circles with your knee, whatever you want, but come back to doing a little bit of the 3 main axes so that you're covering all bases. Most people forget about lateral rotation and medial rotation, and they also don't do stuff with abduction, adduction. They mostly just focus on forward, backwards. Or a funny thing they'll do is they'll just focus on their foot, so they'll just be like, my foot is swinging, but then they're not really swinging anything with their body, okay? You can do that, and if you put your hand on your greater trochanter, your GT, then doing this motion actually does something there, but you should be aware of what it's doing, basically. Okay, that's it. Enjoy your leg swings. Bye-bye.